Are you familiar with the story of St. George? One of the most widely known saints in the world. He is the patron of hundreds of cities around the world, and surely one of the most beloved saints among the Catholic and Orthodox churches. He is often portrayed riding a white horse and dressed as a Roman soldier piercing a dragon with a spear. St. George is an iconic character in the struggle between good and evil, representing courage, faith, and warding off adversity. Today's video shows us more about the amazing story of this saint loved by millions of people worldwide. Born in Cappadocia, Turkey, his story is steeped in legend and mystery. Born to Christian parents of Greek nobility, George was raised in a profoundly pious household, molding his faith and character from an early age. When he was 14, George suffered the loss of his father, who was a Roman legionary officer, something that impacted deeply on his life. He moved with his mother to Palestine, where his bonds with the Christian faith grew stronger. This stage in his life was marred by loneliness and the quest for a greater purpose, guided by his religious heritage. When he was 17, and following in his father's footsteps, George joined the Roman army. His military career took off in the imperial city of Nicomedia, in eastern Turkey. There, he showed courage and honor, qualities that quickly made him stand out among his peers. George's ability and loyalty did not go without notice, leading to his promotion to tribune and the highly prestigious rank of imperial guard under Emperor Diocletian. This appointment was not only a testament to his military prowess, but also showed the trust the powerful Roman emperor had in him. But Diocletian still revered the old Roman gods, and after having made an inquiry to the oracle, he began a widespread persecution campaign against the Christians. He destroyed churches and imprisoned priests. George's allegiance was challenged halfway through the anti-Christian campaign. George, steadfast in his faith, defied the emperor, rejecting the anti-Christian laws and openly declaring himself a Christian. This brave act of faith led to his imprisonment, and this decisive moment would define the rest of his life. When he bravely rebelled against Diocletian, St. George was locked up and subjected to unthinkable torment. According to accounts, he was forcibly fed poisons. His body was crushed between two wheels studded with metal spikes and other cruel and inconceivable acts of torture. But miraculously, none of these atrocities took George's life, as he was protected by the Creator himself. Every night, Jesus is said to have come to heal his wounds, bolstering his faith and resilience. Although facing imminent death, George stood his ground in his belief, rejecting all of Diocletian's attempts to make him abandon his faith, including offerings of pardon and gifts such as land, money, and slaves. Having seen George's unwavering faith, Diocletian decided to have him executed. On April 23, 303, George was beheaded on the walls of Nicomedia. His death not only signaled the end of a devout and valiant life, but also the beginning of a legacy that would last for centuries. He became a Christian symbol of resistance, inspiring countless others with his fortitude and selflessness, despite extreme suffering. The well-known legend of how St. George faced a dragon only emerged in the 12th century, many years after his death. In desperate times, a distant city endured the shadows of a terrible dragon. The flames of its fury burned the sky, and its breath was a billowing death cloud. Human sacrifices were made daily to appease the beast's rage. Sadness and hopelessness engulfed the city as one young girl after another was delivered to a grim fate. The king himself had to sacrifice his daughter when news arrived that a noble Roman knight had arrived in the city. This was St. George, whose gallantry was as wide as the seas. Riding on his white horse, he pronounced that the forces of evil would no longer take the lives of innocent maidens in that place. On meeting the dragon, an epic battle ensued. St. George's spear gleamed in the sunlight, and his armor sparkled like a shooting star as the holy warrior made his way through the darkness and gloom surrounding the monster. The beast uttered a scream that shattered the heavens as St. George smote the dragon, causing it to collapse to the ground and squirm in agony. Once he had rescued the princess, St. George bound the defeated dragon and took it back to the city, no longer as a terrifying monster, but as a trophy of his bravery. Before the astonished and grateful citizens, he offered them not only physical but also spiritual salvation, preaching the Christian faith. According to legend, many were converted that day, moved by St. George's heroic act and words. Having defeated the dragon, he refused any compensation, revealing his humility and generosity. He donated everything he was given to the poor, underlining his commitment to the Christian values of charity and material detachment. The story of St. George and the dragon became a symbol of courage, faith, and the triumph of good over evil, reverberating through the centuries, drawing inspiration from generations in their pursuit of heroes and miracles. St. George is England's patron saint, and his cross is featured on the nation's flag. During the famous 1425 Battle of Agincourt, where the English army faced the mighty French cavalry, both sides claimed to have seen a vision of St. George during the battle. Obviously, if he did appear, it was to help the English, who, despite being outnumbered, succeeded in humiliating the French. Between 306 and 337 AD, a church dedicated to St. George was built in Lydda. It has been destroyed and rebuilt several times over the centuries. Churches dedicated to saints or martyrs were traditionally raised over their tombs. Although many churches throughout the world claim to hold St. George's relics, the Church of St. George in Lydda is regarded as his final resting place. One legend has it that a miraculous fountain emerged next to the church, whose waters could heal the sick. This fountain became a symbol of St. George's continued presence and influence. In 496 AD, Pope Gelasius I recognized George as a saint, acknowledging his courage in defying the emperor's laws and his martyrdom for the faith. St. George's Day was then celebrated on April 23rd, the day of his death. St. George has transcended his own era, making him an enduring iconic figure in many cultures and religions. His story has been told and retold over the centuries, each version reflecting the values and beliefs of its time and place. He has become the patron saint of countless countries and cultures, epitomizing courage, faith, and the protection from evil. St. George's image of fighting the dragon has become a powerful symbol of the battle between good and evil, inspiring generations. His story continues to be revered and celebrated, and his spirit is called upon in times of adversity and trial.